Title 17 U.S. Code 512F provides penalties for the deliberate misrepresentation of copyright infringement. The owners and authors of this video, the common denominator, and the Paramystic Broadcast Channel are a nonprofit 501c3 exempt organization and believes in good faith that it constitutes educational fair use, as per Title 17 U.S.C. 107. Persons, agencies, attorneys, and or social media algorithms filing a false or frivolous Digital Millennium Copyright Act complaint may be subject to civil liability. Warning: the following content may contain elements that are not suitable for some audiences. Accordingly, viewer discretion is advised.
Happy Hump Day, everyone. As always, I pledge my allegiance to the Constitution of the United States of America and to the republic for which the flag stands, one nation under Almighty God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You know, I used to open up with Red Skeleton for, I can't even begin to tell you, a year and a half, 2 years. And I love the way he breaks it down. And one of these days, I may just bring him back on for the moment because, again, you can never get tired of the classics, and that man is a classic. I thought about doing a quote today, and last night before I went to bed, I got to thinking about birthdays, holidays. And in doing so, I thought, what do? We go out and we find the pleasantries of purchasing certain gifts, and they're thoughtful gifts. So ultimately, I thought about, well, what's even better than that? And this is what I came up with. Considerate gifts are pleasant purchases, while fondest memories are preciously priceless. Blending the two, you accumulate a future of wealth to share with all around you. Again, you know, considerate gifts are pleasant purchases, while fondest memories are preciously priceless. Blending the two, you accumulate a future of wealth to share with all around you. What I think I was also thinking of at that time was a lot of people, and we all grieve differently, but when we lose someone, we have a propensity for which to grieve. But eventually we have to get past that and accept and realize that nothing's going to change, except, of course, that person or that pet in some cases is gone. It's no longer, they're no longer there, or it is no longer there, the pets. And so what we're left with are memories and stories. And believe it or not, those stories and memories can be passed down through time, through your family, through your friends. I know myself personally, whenever I'm thinking about my friends or even some of my family members, I find myself always saying thank you. Deep down inside, always saying thank you. Why do I say that? Because, again, it's those memories. It's not the gift that I even receive sometimes, but I'll look at it and say, hey, I remember that, where that came from and who gave that to me. Or, wow, I use this all the time. Thank you for getting me the hammer because I'm a carpenter, or a wrench because I'm a mechanic, a wrench set. But, you know, it's the memories that we have to hold on to. And right now, the memories I am holding on to are the memories of the 70s and 80s, of which I grew up in my teens and in my 20s. Last decade with the dinosaurs. Or should I say last century? We had that correction there. Chad and I were talking about corrections. But anyway, you know, the last century when the dinosaurs existed, the 70s and 80s were awesome. And then the 90s really started kicking in and technology took over. We went from video track cassettes and for tape, cassette tapes that you popped into a machine to watch videos and movies and so on and so forth. And we went from cassettes and 8-tracks to CDs. And then we went from those to DVDs, I'm sorry, to DVDs. And we went to, now we've got, you know, a plethora of music right at our fingertips on any genre of music. It's instant gratification. Technology has far surpassed the human mind's ability to consume what it actually should be used for. We play around with it. I was just reading a news article. The heading was somewhat like this, I believe. It was that right now, you know, the medical field, the doctor, psychiatry field, are thinking that maybe because kids are so wrapped up into their telephones and into these video games of, say, Mortal Kombat, or there's a plethora. You've got a Grand Theft Auto, worst one ever, in my opinion. And that was the decline of, or the start of the decline of. And you go around killing people and so on and so forth in these videos. And it's really separating these young minds from reality. And when they are lost, they don't know how to deal with the truths that are around them. They don't know how to socially interact anymore. It's sad, but it's true. They are much more selfish. I don't think that they want to be selfish. They just don't understand there's other people and a whole life and a world around them. The days of walking through the woods, looking at a new, say, ivy of some sort or a tree, and learning something about that are done and over with. All they have to do is pick up a leaf, take a picture of it, and look it up on the internet. It says, oh, that's a maple leaf. Oh, that's an oak tree, and it has acorns, so on and so forth. They no longer get actively participating in life. And it can be actually seen very well in the 80s when 15% of the American population, it is estimated, were fat or obese. By the way, folks, I'm obese. That's what my doctor tells me. So I can talk about being a fatty. And if you're offended that I talk about being a fatty, go away. Bottom line is this. We have a culture today that is 55% overweight across the country today. 55%. I looked at these videos from the 80s, and these girls were in these beautiful bikinis. Believe me, it was like looking at a Taylor Swift concert. I used to think of that when I went to concerts. They wore elegant gowns. Now they go on stage pretty much naked. But these girls, young women, at that time in my 20s, down at the beach, they were active. The young men like myself at that time, we were lean, trim. We played frisbee, volleyball. We swam. We really enjoyed the beach activity. If you go down to the beach today, and I'm not going to go down on the beach, but if you're going to go down to the beach today, or the shore, or the shoreline, let's say, you're going to end up seeing, like me, a big fat man, obese, and people are going to be chasing me around with a harpoon trying to get me back into the water. That's a joke. But what I'm saying is, people don't really care for themselves anymore. They're not taking the time to look and see what their lives can really be like anymore. You've got these kids that tease other kids that are even, portly, husky, and in school. And there was a time in school when if you had an issue with someone, you could just duke it out. Nowadays, they shoot them, stab them, and brutally beat them. And that's sad. I labeled this particular program, Coops Corner Conversation, because it's the corner that we're at right now. We're at the crossroads, the corners of our freedom, of our life here in America. We took an oath as a veteran to protect Americans from terrorists, foreign and domestic. Every single Democrat, in my eyes at this point, although I welcome them into my home, they are a terrorist to the Constitution, to the country. They are not. They are allowing their leadership to destroy this country. I've been wanting to say this, and I'm going to just say it out loud. Biden's choice of people at the White House administration level, Harris, so many, the DOJ, DHS, FBI, so many of them are guilty of treason. And yet we are just dragging our feet rather than walking them up the steps to the gallows. Yes, I said that. Treason punishment is death. I wait to hear about the next Jack Ruby, the individual that will have cancer, that's going to say, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm going to make a change in this country and take out the leadership of someone. We've got this lady out in Indiana right now, Illinois, I'm sorry, a mayor. She spends $150,000 of the people's money on SUVs that, of course, are going to stay within the city, but they don't need they don't need 3 vehicles at $150,000 for 3 vehicles. They really could get by with, seriously, a couple $20,000 cars, maybe. Hey, Ruth, how's it going, girl? You know, why do they have to be over the top? And that spending of that item, that gift to themselves, is actually leaving a memory in the people's minds right now of saying, what are you doing for our communities? And that lady mayor is not doing anything for the communities. She's destroying her city. That money can better be spent. Let's say it was 3 cars she picked up for, say, for $60,000 total. That means there's $90,000 that can be placed into the community for the community's interests. And yet she buys these over-the-top vehicles. It's wrong. And we can make these changes. I don't know if we have to go left, we have to go right. I don't know if we have to go up or we have to go down. But we've got to stand fast and say we cannot put up with any more of this stuff. Again, this administration, every single one of them, are treasonous to our country. The bloody borders, I love that. The blood, the bloodbath, the border bloodbath, as Trump said. I just love some of the coinage of phrases that man comes up with. But it's true. People do not realize how many people have died just trying to cross. How many people have died once they got to the other side here illegally. They are criminals. Every flipping one of them are criminals. They're illegals that are invading America. Right now, there are like 1.6 million jobs that have been given to illegals in this country, and there's only been 600 in the job growth market for citizens of the United States. The money is being spent. They're spending money like drunken sailors. I'm a sailor, was a sailor, still am a sailor. And all I got to tell you is you can't do that. Someone's going to have to pay. And guess who pays? It's the tax-paying citizens. The people that are on the force right now working are paying for all the accommodations of these invading illegal immigrant, migrant people. They don't belong here. They're criminals. They, again, do not belong here. We have them living in shelters of school and turning schools into shelters. We have them living in all these literally Democratic ran cities who want to tell you it's the Republicans who are doing this. No. Joe Biden is the person who's completely solely responsible, as he is the president of the United States, and he is the one that is destroying our country. He has not brought our country together in unity. He has brought our country together in division, one side against another. I just heard today I'm quite confident my sources is quite credible, that the Black Lives Marxist group, BLM, the Black Lives Marxist group, are starting their shenanigans again in Chicago. When are they going to realize we do not have a racial division in this country? We're getting one. We're getting to it in certain areas. I mean, when you can't speak an African tongue or an Indian tongue or a Chinese tongue or South America, whatever, that's division. That can't be changed. You're going to look at someone on a job site and you're going to say to that person, move out of the way. And as they look at you wondering what you just said, a Mack truck will come along and squash them like a bug. No one sees any problem with that. I remember being up on a scissor lift one day, hanging a motor by myself, about a 50, 60-pound item. I could handle it, no problem. All around me were Mexicans on this job site, and all they were doing was a drywall. And I'm up 35, 40 feet in the air, ready to hang a motor for a movable wall. And I thought to myself, if I accidentally had dropped that motor off the corner of that scissor lift and yelled heads up to the individuals below who were Mexican, chances are one of them would have been hit because no one would have understood what that phrase meant. We understand what that phrase means, saying, whoa, take cover, get out of the way. You're in harm's way. You're in danger. Heads up. But even those two words would not save the life of an individual that has no clue of what you've said. We're going to have more diseases coming across this border. We're going to have more mayhem across this border in one more year. We have less than, I believe we're at about 205 days to the elections. We're going to have more of these people crossing and crossing and crossing. Not by the thousands anymore. It's by the tens of thousands monthly. We had 300,000 that came through in the month of December. 300,000. That's a lot of people. That's like a whole metropolitan area within our country somewhere. 300,000 people is a lot of people in 1 month. It's going to get worse. And we look at what's happening, and we heard this from the Democrats. Donald Trump is going to place us into a war. We are going to be going into a war. He's going to start a war. No, he was a peaceful peacemaker president during his term. This president has created more chaos, has allowed more wars. He's even funding, this administration has funded Iran. And with Iran having now nuclear power resources available and utilizing that money in conjunction with all those other great little tribal people like the Hamas group. And you've got these terrorists, the Hamas. You've got these terrorists who are killing brutally and kidnapping innocent children, teenagers, adults, all because of faith. I don't know why we cannot figure this out. But if you want to have the faith of Muslim, you should be entitled to it. If you want to have the faith of being a Jew, you should have that right. Christian, whatever. Pagan. Just so long as it doesn't violate, infringe, or take the life of another person who thinks differently from you. Now, I know I just said Biden and the rest of them should all be hanging from the gallows, but that's the only way you can treat criminals and people who have destroyed and are destroying our Constitution every flippin' day of the week. And they're doing it twice on Sundays, if they can. They've got no reverence. They have no respect for the American people. They could care less. And that's a very bad, bad position to be in. Because they are going to take a complete bath this year. There is no doubt in my mind the Democrat voter is, there's not going to be enough of them. We need to wipe that party out right now as fast as we can, as if they were cockroaches in our kitchen, as if they were mice in our cupboards. Because they're not getting it. They want free handouts. I keep seeing these ads everywhere. If you make less than $60,000 a year and you don't have Medicare or Medicaid, you are entitled to $6,300. And people don't even realize where that money's coming from. But to my understanding, I may be wrong, and correct me, please. I may be wrong. To my understanding, the banks have been given basically a pass by our government. And that pass is free money that the government is allowing them to disperse out to, of course, or through them to disperse out to our citizens. That's why you have all these illegals coming over. And my goodness, they're getting $2,500 a month, $2,000 a month. They're getting free housing, free food stamps. They're getting free rent. They're getting free education. They're getting free medical and dental. What are the tax-paying citizens getting? Well, they're getting higher taxes, lower pay. They're getting taxed on their property. And then they got to pay their local taxes, their county taxes, their city taxes, their state taxes, their federal taxes. By the time you are done with your paycheck, which might have been, say, $1,000, you're lucky if you're bringing home $450 because you have to take care of all those people that are criminals coming across our border. You have to take care of the people that are so happy with the hand out, not the hand up, but the handout of the welfare system. The more kids you have, the more money you get. You get even more money for housing and food. All from who? Well, they say it's Uncle Sam, but no, it's a tax-paying citizen's dollar. I've got to tell you, folks, we are in a very, very, very bad way. This is, and you've heard it or been hearing it now for, I guess, 2-3 years, but this is the most crucial election of our lifetime. And if you people that are Democrats are so foolish and stupid, did I say stupid? Yes. Ignorant? Yes. Why? You just don't care. You only care about yourselves. If you guys think that this is a direction of democracy, just realize democracy is not what this country was based upon. It was based upon we the people, a republic. In fact, democracy is not even mentioned in the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, or the Declaration of Independence. Nowhere. Nowhere. Republic is, in fact, mentioned twice in those said documents. We've got to get our republic back. I looked at a statement some clown made about, how Trump is going to have concentration camps and we're going to have a Nazi police force. And, this is going to be a tyranny of the republic. None of the stuff that they lied about. Notice what I just said, that the Democrats lied about. Because, see, if you're a Democrat, you basically are endorsing them lying. You've got congressmen who lie about their backgrounds, get elected, And they don't have any game. They don't even have maybe a high school education. Can't think of the guy's name. Don't care anymore. So old news. But the lies that are being spilled out are horrendous. And the people that are drinking the Kool-Aid, it used to be Trumpers drinking Kool-Aid, by the way. It's the Democratic followers. You're fools. You're being fooled, and you're not paying attention, and you're not listening to the right media. Here at the Common Denominator Network, we try our best to give nothing but truths. We try our best, painful as it is, to let people know this is where we're at as a nation. And just up to about an hour and a half ago, YouTube was having problems, or StreamYard was having problems that YouTube's engineers were investigating because they weren't having good shows on podcasts worldwide. We are so interlinked and at our new chains that make us prisoners, for instance, is a device as such. It's our laptops, it's our iPads, it's our computers. No one wants to get out and walk around in the woods. No one wants to hold their hands with their loved ones walking down the woods, the memory lane of the woods, and just enjoy. Instead, I've seen people, seriously now, people in a restaurant, a table, a family, and they're a family. There's a man, there's a woman, there might even be an elderly person, and there's a bunch of kids, young adults maybe. And they're all sitting around the family table. They just ordered their food, and every single one of them are like this. They're not even talking to their person next to them, their brother or their sister, the siblings, the cousins, whatever. They're not engaging in conversation. They're not socializing, and they don't have social skills because of this. Florida has mandated certain ages now. They have a new law. I like Governor DeSantis has a new law in place where 14 on up can have access to, but on down they can't. And parents, it's really coming down to you being parents and stop being best of friends. Save that for when your children are in their 20s. Seriously. Our whole problem, our number one problem within our country, first and foremost, is a fractured foundation of family. And until we figure out a way of healing that, fixing that, getting more parents involved in the educational processes of the school, to get them to get their heads out of their keisters and start becoming more proactive. I was having a conversation today with a very good friend of mine. And I said, why can't the principal bring the two boys in? Because they hear hypothetically, by the way, this is a hypothetical situation. There's rumor that these two boys are going to fight. Why can't we bring those boys in front of the principal and let the principal and maybe a counselor have that conversation with them? Well, it's not in the school policy. They're not allowed to do it. Why not get the parents and bring them into the room first? Oh, it's not in school policy. That's unacceptable. We can't do that. How can we handle those behavior-ridden children? Well, I said, why not have them go out around the community when they are in trouble, detention? If anyone remembers the movie Breakfast Club, instead of just sitting at a table, at least they were in a library. They could have gotten a book if they wanted. But seriously, why can't we take these kids and take them out and have them clean up the neighborhood? Believe it or not, my friend said that's considered like corporal punishment. Kids are no longer crossing guards because buses literally drop the kids practically in most of the schools nationwide, practically at the front doors. So you no longer have crossing guards. So the kids don't learn any responsibility at a young age. And believe me, to get that, for me to have gotten that sash, to stand there and direct traffic, to guide the kids across the street from one side to the other, that was empowering. See, when you give a child responsibility, you give that child power. But if you don't give a child responsibility, they have no power. Thus, therefore, they do not have a high value of themselves in their self-esteem. They don't have confidence and abilities to learn from, of course, naturally, making a mistake. It comes with the territory. But they should be able to have the confidence of saying, I did a job well done at the end of the day. You've got some, I guess, teachers, for instance, if you fail your students who, by the way, deserve a big fat F, because they're tenured teachers, they are not allowed to fail because, and the principals say, don't fail the children, can't fail the children. It's money that we're losing. It's money that we're losing. And it makes our school look bad because we're having a bunch of idiots running out the door, ignorant little kids, little morons that don't have a clue about 2 + 2 equaling 4, or they don't do their homework. It's the parents that need to get their heads out of their keisters and start parenting. Start teaching these kids right from wrong. And we're also living in a different time now that's much sicker yet. Kids no longer will even put on the gloves or go in the backyard and punch it out in the playground. They're bringing guns into school. Where are those parents that didn't know their kids took perhaps maybe even their gun from the house to do these heinous acts against their classmates and other innocent people? The parents have to be held responsible. There has to be accountability. The teachers, the principals, the superintendents of these schools that are not doing their jobs, that are not reporting what are called mandates, mandating reporting of incidences where children are getting hurt, be it sexually, physically, psychologically. These things should be reported, and people should be pulling together to help the kids get through it. I have been blessed with many great people in the past 2 years of my life. I can't even begin to list all their names. But it's enough in my community for me to say they are wanting to make a difference. In fact, we just had an election for school board. And I just found out something that was very disturbing about one of the new people that are on that school board. They were either a bully or they were bullied. I'll let you understand on your own why it's uncomfortable. And to think that that person was placed into an office, I don't get it. People are burying their heads in the sand. They don't care. In fact, in this election of the school board, we had less than a 20% total voter registration turnout. Out of about 8,000 to 12,000 people, less than 20% voted. Are we so selfish and narcissistic? Are we so self-centered and uncaring that we are willing to just let this insanity and madness continue from our schools to our government officials? Really? Are we? Again, as a veteran, I took an oath of office of my, within, of basically saying, we've got to take care of the terrorists, foreign and domestic. And right now we have way more domestic in political positions that are terrorists to our country. What are we going to do about it? We were expecting a red wave. It didn't happen. We are expecting them, the Democrat Party, to cheat because that's all they know how to do. And lie. They're very good at doing it. And that goes with, by the way, even our HOAs, Home Oppressors Association, around the country that are communist communities. Again, I have an HOA I have to deal with. They decide to buy a brand new $40,000 truck for the lake. Guess what? We could have, believe it or not, we could have leased a vehicle. If it broke down under a lease agreement, that vehicle would be towed back to the shop. We could pick up one that day and we'd be rolling that afternoon as if nothing ever happened. We wouldn't have to pay a maintenance guy or two maintenance guys. We wouldn't have to go buy the parts to install on this owned truck, and would have cost us nowhere near what it would have cost us in buying one completely out just by leasing. Are they going to lease one? No. At least I don't see that happening. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe someone had a feather up their keister and said, you know what? There's a little bit of understanding and common sense. And that is what we're lacking more than anything. Common sense. Here we go. Chad says the liberals are going to war with each other right now. And you know what? I'm so happy to hear that. With any kind of luck, maybe they'll wipe themselves out in more than just one way. I'm tired of dealing with nut cases, personally. People that know me, they're like, God, Vince, you're a social guy. I can't see you living in the woods by yourself alone. Well, I am, and I do. I prefer it that way. If I lived in a city right now, I have to tell you, I don't know if I could handle it. Being retired, living in the city, I can't even wrap my head around having a neighbor across the street or down halfway down the block blaring their music at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And why? Why are they blaring their music? Because they can, and there's no cops to come along and say, hey, guess what? There's a lot of people that have to wake up at 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning and go to work. Pipe down. Have some respect. But they don't. And this was brought to Palestinians. Iran has its sights set on Israel, and it's so sad. And you know what? Don't go on. You're 100% right. It is. They are the chosen people, from what I've read in the Bible, from what my understanding is. But the bottom line is they are a peaceful group of people. Have you ever heard of the Israelis going out and starting violence, a conflict, a war? So far, I haven't. I can't recall that in history. And if someone please take a minute, look that up. They're a peaceful nation. But we've got the people that are protesting over here, Gen Zs, Gen Xs, Gen Ys, whatever they are, generally nuts, kids that don't know and I'm going to say it, their ass from a hole in the ground. And these little idiots are running around saying, death to Americans, death to the Jews, death, death, death. What are they shouting death for? They have a whole life ahead of them. They're threatening, saying they're not going to vote for any of the Democratic Party. Who cares? You're too stupid to vote if you're saying that you support the Hamas, which so many of them do. Think about that. Our young Americans in their teens, in college, are supporting a group of terrorists, and they don't even realize it. That's how ignorant, uneducated, They are. And a lot of it has to do, a bulk of it, let me rephrase that. A bulk of it has to do with our major mass media companies, from television to rag mags, you name it, cable, you name it. CNN, MSNBC, NBC, ABC, CBS, Washington Post, New York Times, they are all one-sided in their thinking. And they're making you think that everything's okay, but in reality, it's nowhere near it. We are a powder keg as a nation, as I see it. I hope I'm wrong. I'm hoping that this summer is not going to be the bloodiest year we've had yet. I really mean that. I'm hoping it's not. But reality kind of makes me think, there's going to be little episodes here and there everywhere. I was listening to a friend of mine tell me a story about how a individual, mental case, what have you, is driving across several county lines, speeding, erratic, the whole 9 yards, finally gets trapped, and in a barrage of bullets, they're hit like 80, 90 times. So many media people want to say, "Oh my God, it's overkill." I'll tell you what. If I was one of those law enforcement agents, and I just drove about 90, let me rephrase that, 100 miles at speeds of well over 80 to 120, 140, and I've watched people maybe get into accidents, but I have to go past it because I got to keep on the tail of the bad guy. By the time I caught up to that bad guy, just have them wink the wrong way. Be glad, by the way, I'm not a law enforcement agent, but I got to tell you, if they had a gun in their hand, a knife, even a toothpick, I have to tell you, I think I'd probably want to take that person out, save the taxpayers some money. I like the certain Sheriff Brady down in Florida, one of my favorite ones. Hey, you come in Floridians' home, you're playing Russian roulette. Person's home, they can stand their ground. They can protect their castle. They can protect themselves and the people and friends in that domicile, in that home. There's going to be more of it. You look around, even in smallest towns that I'm aware of here in Missouri, they've got a homeless problem with squatters everywhere, even in the littlest towns. They've got people that are breaking the law. Hopefully we have good sheriffs. Davies County, Missouri's sheriff, Larry Adams, stooge, sanctuary, horrible sheriff. He should have been removed. I'm working on that. I am working on that. When you're falsely accused, falsely arrested, and your life is in shambles, you do have rights that have been violated. I'm going to go after them. I'm going after everyone because that's what we should do. And why did that all happen to begin with? Because I exposed a nasty, filthy, dirty, rotten librarian by the name of Tanya O'Boyles, who was bribing children with candy on a TikTok video, telling them to read books that are going to be banned, pornographic in nature, distributed at the public high school libraries, paid for by the tax-paying citizens. And they got their panties in a wad. And they don't want to do anything about it. Let me rephrase that. They want to continue playing badminton, going back and forth like, what can we do about it? I don't know. Afraid of getting sued by the ACLU. Oh, afraid of this, afraid of that. No. You take the bull by the horns, you get the books off the shelf, you put them in a private room, and then you say, oh, Mrs. Smith, Mr. Jones, you want your kid to read this book? Okay, fine. You can let them read the pornography, the homosexuality, whatever. That's the parent saying it's okay for their kid to do so. I myself say take all those books, put them in a public library, and let that freakishly like family all go to the library and start using the public library services the way they should be. Yeah, I call them freaks. Why? You've got to be a freak of a parent. If you're going to give your 8-year-old or your 10-year-old the opposite, estrogen or testosterone, you've got to be a freak, or you're going to cut off their body parts. You've got to be a freak, or you've got to be freaking out of your mind. It's just a phase. It's a psychological phase. Kids test the waters. I remember telling a story about my youth when my mom wasn't looking at the time, but I was watching her put on her makeup and doing her eyes and going like that with her lipstick and so on and so forth. And I was mimicking her. It was all because what the heck? I was a kid. I think I was only about 8 years old, 7, 8 years old. And then I saw that soft, satin, silky slip. I put it on. And then I chased my mom into the room. Hey, Mom, check this out. Did I end up growing up to wearing dresses on a regular basis? No. Have I dressed up like a woman before, a girl before? Yes. Why? Halloween was for one. One was for a podcast. I actually dressed up just to make fun of the men that want to be called lady. Because trust me, even though, and by the way, I was a hideous lady, but even if it could be possible that I could look just as pretty as they could be, but I'm still a man. A dress is not going to make me a woman. It just doesn't do it. Genes, it's in the DNA. It can't be changed. God or higher power created you the way you are. The egg and the sperm came together and created you with the X and Y chromosomes. And that's all there is to it. You're either a male or you're a female. You want to experiment? That's on you. You want to play games? That's on you too. But realize there are people like myself that aren't going to play your game of lies and deceptions. I go straight at you. And I let you know I ain't doing it. I have a lot of people that are gay. I could care less. Good people. I don't judge them. It's not my place to judge, nor should it be yours. But you can definitely say if they have behavior problems, i.e., let's say I had 2 girls over and they were hugging and kissing in front of my children or my elderly grandmother or aunt, uncle, what have you, I'd say, can you stop it? Most know not to begin with. And most gay people, bisexual, whatever, they understand. But the parents of today that are such freaks to push, shove, endorse, force their kids even at some points to do this, to play the opposite sex and to say, hey, guess what? No longer is it play. I want to live this way the rest of my life. It's wrong. You're not being honest to your children. And that is biggest problem that we have. It's the fractured foundation of family. You've got to have honesty. You've got to have trust. You've got to say, hey, guess what? I'm not going to go left. I'm not going to go right. I'm not going to go up or down. I'm going to go forward. Forward. I'm going to stop with all these little side show situations. I'm going to tell you, we are in the most damaging times of our country. Regardless of what you think about President Donald J. Trump, you have to look at the running record of everything that they have thrown at that man to get that man off the ballot, the states that have been trying to violate, shred the Constitution to get his name off the ballots for that state. You're looking at all these false accusations, again, witch hunts I know witch hunts all too well. It's no joke, folks. It's horrible. It's stressful. It costs you money. It weighs on your mind. And you can even have, you thought, friends who actually jump on a bandwagon and say they think that that's possible, that Trump could be that horrible with his finances, or a sexist, or what have you, or me, a harasser. No. When he was a young man, I know when I was a young man, there's only I think about 10, 12 years between he and I believe, something like that, 12, 14 years, I think. We chased the skirts. That's what we did. We were men. In fact, let's take the word men right now and just detail that word. Today, men are not what they used to be. Because men were men at the ages of 13 and 14 and 15. They were men. They went out and trapped, hunted, skinned, fished, ate, cooked, chopped wood, built fires, built plows, created farms. They built their cottages and their barns and grew hay and all. I mean, what they did in one day 200 years ago at the age of 13 through 15 or 13 through 18, these kids today couldn't even do. I'm going to say they probably couldn't even do 10% of it. Not only are they dumbing down our society, the educational system, not only has the educational system and the government hand in hand dumbed down our society, they have weakened and made us lazier. I used to work. Oh my God. I mean, I love to work. Why did I like to work? Because I liked money. I liked money. I like to travel from here and there. I never settled down for basically 30, 40 years. Technically, I consider myself homeless, but I liked money because it gave me freedom to do things. Yeah, maybe it gave me the freedom to repair my truck when, well, I would like to take a trip down to the mountains on that weekend. But that's a sacrifice of reality we have to make. But again, the phone has taken away the reality of our life. No one wants to deal with. Oh my God, that person just called me a name at the checkout line. Get over it. Get over it. Grow some rhino thick skin. Sticks and stones will break your bones, but names will never hurt you. I've been called every name under the sun. It doesn't bother me. I've had some horrible nicknames. Didn't affect me one way or another. I wouldn't allow it to happen. Why? I don't know. Maybe I was just luckier. Maybe I just thought to myself at a young age, this is ridiculous. Whereas other kids went in a corner and cried. I don't know. All I do know is we are not the society that we were 40, 60, 80 years ago. We are a weakened society with no family values across the board. And that, my friends, is why we are where we're at. It is going to be the most crucial election this year. Because if it does not turn around, if this does not stop, drop, and turn around, and continue back on course where it should go, I'm going to tell you, I'm glad I'm 63, and I'm glad I'm going to die soon. I'm not really wanting to die maybe in the next 10, 15 years, even 20 or 30. But I know I've got to die. But I'm glad I'm closer to it. I feel bad for those that are 20, that are in their 30s, that are in their teens. I feel real bad because their life skills, yeah, they suck across the board. Not all of them, most. They suck. They could have, I can tell you right now, I don't think I could name off a teenager that can, boy or girl, that can thread a needle and then use a running stitch or a running stitch and over and under, a circular stitch, whatever. I don't even think they could patch up a pair of jeans. Because, see, all they have to do is look at mommy and say, I need a new pair of jeans. Let's go to Walmart. And what does the best friend do? Okay, we'll go tomorrow. But I want to go now. Okay, we'll go now. And that's how that goes. No is no longer a word that's used. Don't do that is no longer a phrase to correct ill behavior. Take time and sit down and think about what you just did. And believe me, when we made mistakes and got in trouble as kids, we heard about it for quite some time and from several people. Usually it wasn't just mommy and daddy, it was aunts, uncles, grandma, and grandpas, sometimes neighbors. Get involved in your community. Know what the devil's going on. Realize that we have but one country. This is the very last republic in the world. The strength, the size, the opportunities, the most beautiful. We have the array of terrain. Oh, I said terrain. Landscaping. There you go. That. Oh, okay. Well, we got cities and we've got woods, we've got rivers, mountains, beaches, deserts. Now maybe people understand. Yeah, I even felt like I had to explain the word terrain. That's pretty sad. Actually, I don't want to be insulting to those that are watching. But believe it or not, some people don't have a clue about words. I listened to Jason Whitlock. I'm going to close with this. Listen to Jason Whitlock not long ago, and he talked about rap music. How the people in rap music can't even put together or formulate correct, proper sentences to have a nice melody of the lyrics. It's true. It's very true. We've got to change. We've got to get our pride back. We've got to get our nation back on course. We've got to get every one of these criminals that have crossed the border, we've got to get them out of this country as quickly as possible. Even, get this, even Biden flew in over 300,000 throughout the year, landing primarily in Miami, Florida, unbeknownst to DeSantis, and then dispersed and flown throughout our country. I used to think Montana would be the way to the place to live if you can handle the cold weather. I don't know how the the men out in Montana feel and the women feel about the changes, but I'm telling you, we are a powder keg ready to explode. This nation is going to go down if we have this squatter of the White House, this thief of the election, of the party of thieves, that we're going to lose our country. I pray I am completely wrong and that the Republicans will take over and we will be back in power. And I'm hoping to God we can start expediting court cases because we've got to stop dragging our feet on the ground. We have to stop dragging our asses on the ground. We've got to just get the job done. You know, you've got these criminals in political office, be it that they are prosecutors not doing their job, mayors not doing their jobs, president not doing his job. Again, all the three-letter agency clowns that are on top not doing their jobs. We need them out of office. And personally, myself, being that I know for a fact that this is treasonous, and I'm not stupid, I'm not silly. I know what they've done is treasonous. They all need to be executed. And by the way, you can't write that down on Facebook. You cannot write down your true feelings. I've got a whole bunch of pictures I've taken of things I've written You can't say it. But that's the penalty and punishment for treason is death. And until we see enough of them to set the example for the rest to come that want to walk in their footsteps and do the exact same thing they've done, which is destroy our country as it is today, we're going to have more problems. So our number one thing that we have to focus on this year in the next 200 and few days left is this election. They're going to steal it. They're going to cheat, mail in ballots, ballot boxes everywhere. We have to stop the shenanigans. We have to. And the nice part about it is it starts with one document, and that's the Constitution, which gives each and every one of you the right at birth to vote when you're 18. Pay attention, folks. It's going to be a wild ride this year. I'm about done for the moment. Hopefully next week I'm going to be getting back into where I'm getting more guests lined up, or next month, should I say. And I'm hoping to get some guests lined up again. Maybe bring back a few people in particular. I've got I've got people that really have messages that need to get out there. And right now with Facebook, the way they've been censoring and all the complicated problems we've had for the past 2 months, I think it is. Don Corleone could probably tell me better, but I believe it's been about 2 months of hell, of censorship. And we just spent 2.5 hours today with YouTube. No one knows what's going on. And I even watched a TikTok video of a guy that was showing, and I don't know if it's true or not, but saying there were actually like 7 winners in 4 different states of this $1 billion. And yet after several hours of recalculating the whole 9 yards, of recalculating the numbers drawn after 3 hours recap. I don't get that. Supposedly only one person won in Oregon, of all places. I'm praying that person in Oregon who got that money, that $1 billion, was a Republican. I am praying. And that they were conservative. And I am praying that they were a Christian. And I am praying that they will do the right thing with that money. I know myself personally, I had an agenda. I would have just gone in, ASPCA, done. Oh, we're going to keep it. But that CEO, 3 years in, under of the leadership position of the ASPCA, he has made over $7 million in 3+ years. Why? Who is worth that kind of money? I know I'm not. That's probably why I didn't win the lottery, because God knows I'm not worth that kind of money. But seriously, who's worth that kind of money? They're supposed to be nonprofit organizations. We're supposed to help animals. I'm going to leave with you with this thought. Last week or earlier this week, I was at a store, and I broke down and cried to 2 people that I've known for about almost 6 years now, 5.5, 6 years. Elderly people that are running and operating the store. And I started crying because I started thinking about an animal. I don't cry when it comes to human beings. I lose a family member. I lose a friend. I may 1 or 2 tears of grief, but it's the memory that puts the smile on my face of the great times that we had. And that is how I hope when I pass that people may remember me and have a smile and not be crying and all upset. I don't necessarily want to do the Irish jig, but if they wanted to, I guess that's okay too. But seriously speaking, remember, we are losing the ability to stream live to Meta. Yeah. Follow us on YouTube, Twitch, Rumble, Discord, and the Paramystic webpage. Yes, thank you for putting that up there. It's all about control, folks. Either you want them to be in control, or you are going to pull your pants up, put your dresses on, wear your suspenders, grab your purse, and take control. Only you can do that. Think hard, think heavy. Look at the people around you, co-workers, friends, family. I actually drove by a house. I cannot believe I saw Biden and Harris. It had to be a 4x4 painted on the front porch, covering a full window. That's tells me that I wouldn't even say hello to those people. They're too stupid to talk to. They're too ignorant. They're too ill-informed. Our world has gone into hell in a handbasket as we speak. And we haven't even begun to see the worst of it yet. I guess there was someone who wanted to talk about and discuss how the end of the world is coming with the solar eclipse of the sun this last go around. Come on. Come on. It's part of nature. It's a memory. And 2017, I took the most beautiful picture I could have ever been afforded. It was of a father and son with their heads tilted back, with their glasses on, midday, looking at the solar eclipse. The son has cerebral palsy. He's in a wheelchair. The father is a heavy Mexican man, wonderful people, and they were just taking it in. And that picture is, again, my ultimate favorite picture of father and son. So to all you fathers out there who have sons, think about the memories you can make together. Hopefully you'll do the right things, men, and make those memories good. Ladies, likewise. Moms, make those memories good with your daughters, because that's all we have to share when we're gone with those that remember us. And as well as the gifts to pass out that we've accumulated along the way. I believe that's called estate giveaways or something like that. I don't know. When you die, you have to give it all away. You don't want the state to take it. Anyway, thank you very much. We've got Truck It Tuesday nights. We got myself. We've got Logbook sometimes on Friday nights. We've got the Trainwreck, I think, on Saturday nights. We've got a plethora of wonderful psychics. I really mean the Paramystic channel, broadcast channel has some wonderful psychics. And all I can say is we offer a little bit of everything, or try to. And we try to do it with love, with passion, and peacefully. No, we don't endorse violence. We don't want that to happen. But sometimes you have to fight fire with fire. And sometimes those that do bad things have to get their just desserts. From the bottom of my heart, voraciously, Vincent, I'm out of here. Thank you for joining us, or joining me, should I say. Dirty. Oh, I want to read something. Dirty birds of a feather stick together. Okay, anti-squatters. That's right. The anti-squatters bill. Even the liberals couldn't say it was bad, except for maybe on The View. Oh, folks, you got to watch The View. Those water buffalo are really amazing. I don't know where CNN. I think they're on CNN or MSNBC. I don't know where they train these water buffalo to talk. It amazes me. Oh, and by the way, they're pretty funny because they talk about some stupid stuff that just spews like liquid vomit from a drunkard who's had one too many. In the meantime, have a great week. Enjoy the weekend. God bless each and every one of you. And all I can say is have hope. Hope. Don't give up. It can still change.